call this meeting to order. The only thing I gotta have to say tonight is that we had a executive meeting. And I'll turn it over to.
Good evening. My name is Mike Peters. I'm an attorney with the law firm Wiesburn and Gray, Mike Savona's firm, filling in for him tonight. We had an executive session before this meeting for purposes of interviewing borough manager candidates. There were a total of 12 candidates that were investigated for this position. There were interviews. Following those interviews, there was at least a unanimous consensus, at least that I got from council, that the decision was to ask Stephanie to remain in her, to become the actual borough manager. There is an offer letter that, because my office had an indication that Stephanie would be the choice, we have prepared an offer letter. That offer letter has been reviewed by Borough Council, and I believe that, I believe I'm correct in saying that a member of Borough Council, if they could, please make a motion to extend this offer letter to Ms. Checo for the position, and then she will accept or not accept, and then you will move to appoint her. Would someone like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
So I'll second it. We would like to make a motion.
And second.
Okay, we got a motion and second.
Yep.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
All in favor?
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And do you accept the offer, ma'am?
I do accept.
Wonderful. I will ask the Borough Council President, not now, but when the time is right, to sign the offer letter. Stephanie, if you could please sign as well. And with that, we simply need a motion to officially appoint her borough manager.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to appoint
Do I have a
Stephanie
second?
Checo.
I'll second.
I got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Borough manager,
Thank you.
Steph.
Thank
Thank you very much. It's a great honor, and I very much appreciate it.
Very well.
I think you probably all see that we all have so much excitement around this. And it's important for you to know that Stephanie has been working for the borough for a few years in different capacities. And she assumed a role when we had a vacancy because the borough manager left. And Stephanie walked in and she took over and didn't skip a beat. We've all been very happy, very pleased. There's been a lot of different, as you know, a lot of activity in the borough, and Stephanie has just done a wonderful job. So we went through the due diligence of going through and putting the option out for others to apply. We went through the whole vetting and interviews, et cetera, just to make sure what we already knew and had experience, but we wanted to be fair in that. So I think the whole excitement here of everybody wanting to make the motion and second it is because of just the wonderful job that she's done for the borough, and we're very excited to have her continue to be a part.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna put her to work.
Mr. President, the first presentation? We good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. We have Rabbi Kudlarski, if you could please come to the podium. Rabbi is here to formally invite Borough Council and the mayor and the public to the menorah lighting on December 14th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I guess I could say I'm the first one to say congratulations on behalf of the public. I want to, aside from saying congratulations, I want to thank Stephanie for all the help that she's given, calling up and trying to figure out where the menorah would be this year. And I want to thank her, and I want to thank WOW Associates for allowing it to stay at the Leland Mansion for this year. And I also want to thank Mayor Frost for being the first one when I called up to put the menorah in Conshohocken. He accepted it with and helped out and called then borough manager and put all the arrangements in place, and I want to thank him for that. I want to invite everyone as a personal invitation. I would love to call everyone and I realize I'm calling everyone's homes, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get through to everyone. So I'd like to personally invite each and every one of you to join us at the menorah lighting. It's going to be December 14th, Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Leland Mansion. This year, we're, thanks to the Conshohocken Fire Department and Fire Chief Tim Cunningham for offering to bring a fire truck. And this year, we're going to have a great menorah gelt drop, chocolate gelt drop. And that is one of the customs on Hanukkah, is to give Hanukkah gelt, which means money in Yiddish. We give money for the children, educate them what to do with it. Here in America, the custom is you give chocolate coins. They come cheaper, and the kids enjoy it a lot more. So we're going to have a great Hanukkah gelt drop where we will throw thousands of chocolate coins from the top of the fire truck ladder, and we will be showering them down, and everyone can catch as much gelt as they like. So we want to invite everyone for the lighting on the third night of Hanukkah, Thursday, and thank you so much.
And 12/14, December 14th?
December 14th, yes,
6
6 p.m. And I understand that there's a planning meeting, so I know that there's some people will try to be finished with enough time that those who want to join the celebration can also make it back to any planning meetings that they have to get to.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much. Mr. Peters, I'll turn it over to you for the next item on the agenda, which is considering preliminary and final minor subdivision and land development approval for 538 Spring Mill Avenue.
Yes, thank you. This application is before council for preliminary and final land development. I understand the applicant is here tonight. There was a resolution that was prepared, and it is in your packet. If the applicant could please give a very short presentation, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. My name is Jerry Rath. I'm the attorney for the applicant, who is JET Holdings, LLC. Here tonight for JET Holdings is Ty Burkowski, Justin Burkowski, and our engineer, Joe Estock. Do you want me to wait?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought you were gesturing to me. The property is at 538 Spring Mill Avenue. We're seeking preliminary and final land development approval tonight. We're going to divide the existing parcel into 2 lots. We're going to leave the existing house. We're going to build a new single-family detached house on the new lot. The new lot's going to be 6,833 square feet. The house is going to have 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It's going to be about 2,400 square feet big. It's going to be 3 floors, including a loft and a basement. There'll be 2 off-street parking places for the new house. There'll be 2 off-street parking places for the existing house. Those 2 parking places will be accessed via a shared driveway with a cross easement between the 2 lots. On November 9th, we appeared before your planning commission, who recommended that you grant preliminary and final approval tonight. The Montgomery County Planning Commission stated its support for the project as well. And on November 27th, we submitted revised plans based on comments from staff as well as from the Conshohocken Planning Commission. I have our engineer, Joe Estock, here with us. He can answer any questions you may have, as well as my clients.
Any questions from council?
This does not include it's just 2 houses, not 3?
It's 2 houses, that's correct. 1 new and 1 existing.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Any more questions?
I don't have any questions.
No, that's great.
With that, I'll present the resolution that has been prepared. Any questions from anyone in the audience? Everybody good? The resolution that was prepared would be to grant preliminary and final land development for this application. There are 5 waivers. A waiver from 22306A1. That's the waiver from features within 100 feet. The waiver from section 22308.c. That's 1 submission for preliminary final land development. A waiver from 22409.2, grading within 3 feet of the property line. A waiver from 22421.4, which is to permit street trees, as shown on the plan, with 3 trees placed approximately 18 inches inside of the lot lines instead of the required 5 feet. And the waiver from 22804A, which permits the applicant to negotiate a fee in lieu of park and rec space with my office. There were 11 conditions of approval that are recommended on this resolution. First, that they comply with all terms of the resolution itself. Second, that they provide any information that the borough engineer deems necessary. Third, that they negotiate a fee in lieu with my office. Fourth, that the applicant comply with all comments in the Gilmore and Associates letter. 5, all comments in Paul Hughes's letter. 6, to revise the plan to satisfy any outstanding reports in those letters or the letter of the Conshohocken Planning Commission and the zoning officer's letter. 7, there's as you can see on the plan, there's going to be a need for a cross easement due to the shared driveway for the 2 parking areas. The applicant will prepare a cross easement for review and approval by my office. They will execute the standard agreements, including stormwater operations and maintenance, land development and escrow, and shall satisfy all outstanding invoices. And with that, it would be my recommendation that council adopt this resolution. Again, it has been reviewed by your planning commission, which I have the pleasure of spending a lot of time with, so I know they looked at it closely.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
I got a motion, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
That's you.
Thanks, guys. Take care, Joe.
The next presentation on the agenda is a presentation by the Chair of the Environmental Advisory Council, Matthew Bridenstine, and a member of the Environmental Advisory Council, Dominic Rocco, pertaining to stormwater management initiatives and an overall review of EAC initiatives.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Good evening. First, I just want to say thank you to the Borough Council. You all have been always been an advocate for the EAC and what we've done, and I also want to thank the Borough and Steph. Steph has done an amazing job in communicating to us, and the Borough has done a great job working with us, specifically when we wanted to do a trail cleanup, which I'll talk about. My goal tonight is to give a review on what we've been able to accomplish in 2017, and also present to you what our focus is going to be in 2018. And Dominic is going to present to you a project that he's going to be spearheading. So for this year, let me see if I can. There we go. Okay. As you can see, this is a picture of us. One of the main focuses of this year was to get our name out, and it was to get out into the public. So this is a picture of us at Fun Fest, which was an amazing event this year. And the way we wanted to draw people into the EAC, into our table, was by putting out these rain barrels and having kids paint them. So this was the product before, and I think if you go on the Borough website or our EAC page, you can see what the final product was. But also you can see in the corner is our new logo, green conchi, and we thought that having this type of a logo would be more appealing to the public, and they would want to. It would invite them to want to know more about us. We created a Facebook page. It's slowly getting. It's starting to grow, but I was talking this week to one of my friends who is involved with lots of the social media pages in Conshohocken, and she's decided to, or has accepted my invitation for her to start working on our EAC page. But what's the point? The point is we're trying to get the name out. And we're trying to get the name out, we're trying to invite people into the EACs, because if we can have more volunteers, then we can have more capacity, we can do more. Because I truly believe that we have so much potential, and we can really make Conshohocken a leader and an example regionally in terms of environmental stewardship and sustainability. We did have a spring cleanup. We had 40-plus volunteers. We met at the Conshohocken Brewery, which is technically not in Conshohocken. But we picked up 2,000 gallons of trash. And believe it or not, 2,000 gallons of trash. And we did something similar the year before. So trash collects there. And we plan on doing another one in March. Moving on to this following year. I hope what you see here is a testament of what we're trying to do. We're going to continue to build on public participation. One of the things that I harped on early last year was we wanted to become a council from 5 members to 7 members, and you granted that. This year, we have 4 members who are going to continue on with their terms. We have another member who is going to be, or their term ends, but he plans on return. He's going to be reapplying, and I support that, and I hope that you support that as well. Rosemary Northcott is that 6th member. She won her election to be school board, and she decided that she's going to spend her time and focus on that. So that leaves 2 vacancies, and I've already received a lot of response from the public wanting to become members. So that's great. We're going to become, again, a 7-member council, but that's not going to be enough for what we're trying to do. So we're creating a Friends of the EAC. It's going to be a free membership. They can join us in our meetings. They can join us on participating in committees to help us achieve what we're trying to achieve here, which leads to my second bullet point. We want to resurrect the Shade Tree Commission. I understand this is something that the Borough Council would appoint. I think where we could help is we can find the people, the volunteers, to create this council, and then you all would approve that after you do interviews. And then we want to continue to work on the Schuylkill River Trail. We're going to do another trail cleanup in March. And we're going to do something new, is we're going to start removing and replacing some of the invasive species that are on the trail. If you're ever on the trail, you'd see these vines, and they're pretty much taking over everything. We want to slowly start mitigating that and replacing that. Number 4 is my favorite, Ready for 100, which is a initiative that many municipalities across the country are starting to endorse. And it's to have green energy. And Westchester Borough has committed to this transition. They've committed to clean renewable electricity by 2035, 100% renewable energy for heat and transportation by 2050. Phoenixville this year has done the same thing. Mayor Jim Kinney of Philadelphia has pledged support for a community-wide transition to 100% renewable energy. And Mayor Josh Maxwell of Downingtown has done the same thing. Imagine if we could be the first community in Montgomery County that can endorse this. And the EAC wants to work with Borough Council and Borough Management in exploring how we could make this achievable. And then lastly, Green Stormwater Infrastructure Project, which I'm going to have Dominic explain to you, because this is his pet project, and he's really passionate. So, okay.
Thank you, Matt. All right, so I'm going to have Matt help me with some of these handouts over here, because we brought you guys some nice, colorful handouts that I think you'll enjoy.
Are they recyclable?
Everything's recyclable, but you're not going to want to throw these away. You're going to want to keep these.
Just because you said they were colorful.
They're colorful. All right, so here, these are all stuck together. Hold on a second. So one of each for everybody, and there's also, hold on, there's one more, hold on. There's, so this last handout that you're getting, the long one, is actually a full write-up of what this project is about. So we're going to give you the condensed version tonight. Okay. All right. So I'm not really good at standing behind the podium. I'm going to try to behave myself. I usually open up when I do presentations. The reason why I don't like being behind the podium is because I'm half Italian and half Colombian, so I'm either moving my hands or moving my hips. So I'm usually moving around. So if I move around, hopefully that doesn't offend anybody. So Matt laid out some great groundwork on what we're doing and what we want to do for 2018. Number 4 was his favorite. Number 5 is mine. So let me quickly go through what we have in mind here. So there goes that great logo. What do you guys think about that logo, by the way?
It's great.
It's catchy. So I've come on to the EAC in April, and one of the things, the first thing that came to my mind is, what can I do to contribute? And I think when I had the interview here back in January, one of the key things that I talked about is my background in stormwater, environmental protection and stormwater and things of that nature. So it didn't really take me long. I started looking around at what I do for a living and started to see what other communities are doing to kind of lay out what this program is all about, what I want to share with you. So what we have is a unique opportunity. So as everyone here knows, Conchi is this booming community. I've worked here since 1993, even though it was at Lee Park. Now it's called, Spring Mill Park. Not quite in Conshohocken, right outside Conshohocken near the brew pub. And I've lived here since 2002. So I've been, happy to call this home since 2002. So I've seen the transformation that Conshohocken's been going through. And I see it's a booming community, and with that comes opportunity. Conshohocken was developed over 100 years ago. Well over 100 years ago. It was established in 1850. And back when they did that, they really didn't give much thought to what stormwater management was, or even drainage. If anyone has the same drainage that they have in front of my house, it just runs down the gutter on the street, and it just makes its way down to the low points of Conshohocken and eventually to the Schuylkill River. So there's opportunity there as well. Stormwater management, drainage, and flooding issues are real. They're real in Conshohocken, and we kind of have this tale of two cities here because you have the people who live at the top of the hill, and you got the people who live at the bottom of the hill. So the people at the top of the hill don't really complain too much about flooding and stormwater management, but if you live near or close to the bottom of the hill, it's a real issue. And this is an opportunity to not just be reactive to flooding and stormwater management, it's an opportunity to be proactive. Stormwater management is also in the forefront of both state and federal regulations. It's not going away. The regulations, and because I work for government, I understand where they're going. And so we definitely have some opportunity there as well. And as I mentioned earlier, there are green initiatives all around us. Philadelphia is probably one of the national leaders right now in stormwater management, and we've partnered with them on a few things, and I think there's a lot there to be learned. So there's opportunity there as well. And that all those things together can really lead to us becoming a leader in stormwater management. We have a relatively small, but not too small community here, which I think we can really accomplish a lot of great things. Okay. Sorry, let's talk a little bit about what the project is. So I'll start off, but the project actually has two main objectives. First is to raise awareness. One of the things that was really clear to me is that a lot of the public, and I'll just say Conshohocken in general, aren't really aware that there are stormwater issues, that there are flooding issues, especially those folks at the top of the hill. So we have a lot of work ahead of us to try to educate the community at large about what stormwater is and what benefits can be done at a small scale or at a large scale. Okay? And the second part of that is to come up with an action plan, what we can do. So if we manage the stormwater, we also deal with the flooding, which we know is also an issue. So that's definitely something that we want to also keep in the back of our minds and make sure that we're not putting something off for the future that we can kind of deal with here and now. As part of the EAC, one of the things that we can do is we can help the borough comply with those federal and state regulations. I think that's one of the reasons why I was appointed to this position, to kind of try to help spearhead some of those things. And that's really, I think, the roots of what this project is all about. And we'll get into the details in just a minute. As I mentioned earlier, Conshohocken is small enough, but not so small, where we can really make immeasurable change. So Philadelphia is a huge city. You know, you're not going to really see a lot of change there. I mean, they have a 25-year plan of how to deal with their stormwater, and there's lots of reasons behind why they're doing that. But we're 1 square mile. And with 1 square mile, I think there is a lot that we can accomplish in a shorter time frame and with less resources. And with all that said, it's really going to take the borough's support in order to accomplish these things. And one of the things I really wanted to emphasize is that in order for this project to work, it has to be a borough project, not an EAC project, not a me project, not a MAP project, okay? And it has to include not just the borough and the EAC, we need to get the community involved. And so those are some of the key things that are in part of this project. So let's talk about what it is that, what happened to one of my slides? All right. Okay, no, skip that. So what kind of things are we talking about? So does this look familiar to most of the people in this room? This is around the corner from my house. So one of the easiest things that we can do in our borough, and not just our borough, but any community, is take a look at where our roof drains are going. And if you just go for a walk through Conshohocken, like I do, and sometimes I focus too much on these things, I see them either going straight into the sewer, going into the ground, or going straight to the street. That's missed opportunity. So one of the key things that can be done, it's easy, it's cost effective, is just directing those roof drains to vegetated areas like the lawn. And you can see how clear in this picture, it's going straight to the alley, down the curb, down the sidewalk, to the curb, down the street, and eventually it's making its way to the river. There's no opportunity for that water to get back into the ground, to be soaked in. It's pretty much going straight out without any control or management whatsoever. This is known as a non-structural control, excuse me. I'm going to try not to incorporate any technical elements in this presentation to the best I can. Okay, so other things, again, sometimes I spend a lot of time walking around and I take pictures in the borough, is how can we take advantage or better advantage of our green space? As you can see in this photograph, in the background there is a downspout or a roof drain which again goes straight into the ground and it's making its way pretty much straight to the river. And there's a pretty good green space there that's not being taken advantage of. Make sure there's nothing else I wanted to say there. And so maybe it's good that the folks before me didn't stick around because I want to talk about new construction. So new construction this is also down the street from my house. I live on 10th Avenue. Again, I've lived in Conshohocken since 2002, worked here.
Which avenue is this? I'm sorry.
East
This is East 10th Avenue. And I've worked here since 1993. And I've seen a lot of new houses built. And again, there's opportunity here. And pretty much on a lot of the new houses I see being built, I don't see any stormwater management for the most part. At least not the type of things that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So there's missed opportunity there as well because new construction is the main way that you can get stormwater management in the ground without having to utilize any of your public resources. Okay, so let's talk about some things that you should be familiar with. Okay, so this is the photograph to the left is the rain garden right outside the Borough Hall, which is beautiful. It's a great rain garden. We've been talking about putting signage out there so that we can get a little public education out of that as well. The other photograph is the rain garden in Sutcliffe Park. So these are two great examples of things that we're doing on public land. And it's a great start. There's definitely, these are good practices, but I think there's a lot more that we can do, as not just as the borough, but as a whole in our community. One of the things I was looking on the website, I saw that there was a landscape design package for Hector Street, for the curbs and stuff, and I saw that there were some references to rain gardens for that. I'm not sure if that's, how much of that is moving forward, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that. But I'm sure when I'm walking around Conshohocken, I'll take a little more observation of that. So those are great. Those rain gardens I showed you, but those are 2 or 3 rain gardens in a square mile. If we're looking for measurable change, we need to have widespread stormwater management that really touches all corners of the borough. Okay? And so the photograph here basically shows what a lot of people already have on their property. Landscaped areas with pretty plants. And it's just really a matter of making them more functional. Directing the stormwater to these areas. Okay, at least a photograph on the left. And a photograph on the right basically is just showing you, as a community, what it would look like if there was a, you know, if you have a tree-lined street. What it would look like if you had a rain garden-lined street. There is a study that was done in Burnsville, Minnesota, that showed that they took one small community and they were able to show how they dramatically reduced the amount of stormwater that was getting into the streams just by putting in small rain gardens like this in the front of their yards. Okay. All right, so the other thing, we already touched on this, talked about rain barrels. The left hand is a rain barrel that looks just like the one in front of my house, but this one looks better, so I put this picture in here. It's basically just connecting your downspout to that rain barrel and having a use for that, so that when that fills up with water, you can use it on your garden, you can use it for your landscaped areas, and it's something that's very functional. The other picture on the right might be some of you might recognize. This is at Anita Barton's property, and so she's one of the first recipients of a rain barrel from I guess it's from the Fun Fest. We had a raffle, and she won a rain barrel. This was actually a rain barrel that was donated from the city of Philadelphia. It's one of the top-of-the-line rain barrels, and there are others that are also going to be installed in the borough in not too distant future. Now, even if someone doesn't have a use for the water, if they put in a rain barrel, they can still just let that water trickle out slowly, and it'll still have a benefit for stormwater management. So, all right, so now I'm moving on to stormwater planter boxes. I don't know if you've ever heard of these, but sometimes someone doesn't want a rain barrel, don't have room to put in a rain garden. They can build these boxes that are pretty much these little, these pretty boxes. You could put plants in them with soil on them. And you can see how the water the downspouts are directed into these planter boxes, so they help treat and retain as much stormwater as possible. And then they overflow and they go back into the system. They can pretty much be put anywhere. There's something similar to this outside of Conshohocken Physical Therapy. Kind of looks like this. I haven't dug it up or anything like that, but if anyone wants to see an example of one. But they can pretty much go anywhere. Okay? And they could be above ground or they can be underground. The picture on the right on the bottom is underground. They built a concrete box. I think it's outside of a school. So, earlier, what I talked about is that we need to have an action plan. So, this is the condensed list of action items that we'd like to move forward. So, first step, what we're taking is, first of all, what inventory do we have? What current practices exist in the borough? We pointed out a few already. Right? So let's make sure we have that on paper, and then let's figure out where we want to put new items across the borough. We thought the best place to focus would be the heavily traveled areas because we can use those as public education opportunities. Along Fayette Street, where people jog, where people walk their dogs, go get coffee, wait for ice cream, those things. Okay? So the rain barrels that Matt showed you earlier, these are the end products in this photograph, painted by probably a few dozen kids. They had a great time, and you can kind of see they're both listed. I don't know, they might be hard for you to see, but these are the type of things that we think would be good to put in different parts of the borough or even here in Borough Hall to raise awareness about what rain barrels are and how they can be utilized and how we can kind of bridge this effort with the schools and with the younger folks so that they can get more involved as well, because they really had a good time putting these rain barrels together and painting them. Okay. So Mac touched on this. We want to work with the borough to improve public education and outreach, have workshops on what these rain barrels are, how people can put them in themselves, again, working with the schools. But one of the key things also is that we want to seek funding. There are lots of funding sources for whether they're rain barrels, whether they are rain gardens, whatever stormwater facilities they are out there, there are funding sources out there that can help. And again, in order to do that, it needs to be a borough-sponsored, a borough-supported type of effort. So we, again, asking for your assistance to do that. So the last action item on here is that we have to get more projects on the ground. Okay, a couple rain gardens and a couple of rain barrels is good, but it's a starting point. And if we get this project along Hector Street, if that's directing stormwater there as well, I think that's also a great start. But let's use that to build momentum and to get as many stormwater facilities on the ground so that we can really try to make a change for what's happening to our streams. Because many of our streams are sick. I mean, they are dramatically degraded as a result of urban runoff, and so it would be great if we can do something about that. So with that, I guess we'll take any questions.
I do have one.
Yes?
Do you remember how they used to have those connections for the end of a downspout where it had holes in it and you could lay it on your lawn so that the rain would come out and onto your lawn?
So I guess
Is that where you can get them, Home Depot?
They're perforated. So
Would you ever recommend those that for people who can't or don't have anywhere to put either a rain garden or a rain barrel?
That might help. I mean, because you want it to release
Promote
slowly.
that also, along with the rain barrels and the
There
gardens?
are a bunch of different things that people can do at the end of their downspouts.
Okay.
There are like ones that are like a snake, like they fill up with water and then they roll back up.
Oh, okay.
So, and they let the water out slowly. So there are a bunch of things out there. It just depends on what the situation is.
Okay.
Any other
So,
questions?
yes, so a resident is interested. What would you recommend to learn a little bit? What are their next steps, kind of along Anita's line? Where would you go and what kind of education, what can you do to educate somebody who wants to do something but doesn't really know?
So one of the key things that we're doing is we're not just giving rain barrels away. We're going to go in and make sure they get installed. So that way they don't end up in somebody's garage or end up on Craigslist or something like that, right? So that's key. But the way we really want to roll this program out is focus on education first. Have some projects on the ground so that people can see what these things are. Have the pictures on our website. Have a map on our website that says, hey, you want to see it? Here's one right here. Have workshops here at the borough. Invite people to come. Bring professionals here to show, here's what a rain garden is. Here's how you can build a rain garden. Here's a rain barrel. Here's how you can get one. Here's how you install one. Planter box, all those different things. So we want to kind of do it in that progression. So we really are going to focus in 2018 on that element, having workshops and reaching out to the public.
Can you give us an approximate price of the rain barrels themselves with the hookup?
So it all depends on the types. They can vary from $20 to $30
Okay.
to $120. The one that you have on your property and me, they're pretty much top of the line. So, but there's also a lot of, like the recycle bins, or like the, what do you call them? Well, they're like the recycle bins. They're along Fayette Street. Those can be repurposed to be rain barrels as well, as long as there's closed top. There's the ones that are in this photograph here. Wrong way. Sorry. I can't even see where I'm at. So the ones that were in the photograph previous to this one,
Right.
were ones that were repurposed. They were from Coca-Cola, I think. So they held syrup. And so they washed them out, and then we can use them to hold stormwater. All we have to do is just retrofit them so they can have a pipe going in and a pipe coming out.
I got a question.
Yes?
I agree everything you're saying about the barrels, the rain barrels, all that. But the rule of thumb is when you have a home and you got a downspout, the downspout goes down, you want to get the water away from your home. So if you're dumping that water into a rain garden next to your house, what do you think you're doing? You're putting that water in the soil, it's like a swimming pool, it fills up, and where do you think all that water goes? It goes to pressure against your foundation, and then it goes into your basement, and then you're pumping it out again, and it's more contaminated then because you got maybe paint chips in it, all kinds of things in it. So I wouldn't recommend it. And that's the rule of thumb, to pump the water away from your house. And that's why people put it into the gutters. The rain barrel is a good idea because you're not putting the water back in the soil. I mean, you might be using it for your hose and all, but I wouldn't recommend to people that they dump it right next to their home in a rain garden.
So
That's just my
I understand.
experience.
I understand, and I've built several rain gardens, and what I could tell you is that you have to assess the property to
Right.
see where the best place is to put them.
Right.
But if someone does decide to put it next to their house, you can waterproof it so that it's just holding the water and then it's releasing it. So there's different things you could do. It depends on what the person wants. If someone's putting a garden there to begin with, it's going to get water. But I understand what you're saying. You don't want to put more water there.
Right.
And I have the same issue in my house. Run a dehumidifier in the basement. I understand that
Dump it into
completely.
somebody else's property.
Well, I think the key is, it doesn't have to be right next to the house. Some people have a good amount of property, maybe it's a little further away, 10, 15, 20 feet away, and that probably makes more sense, especially if someone has a basement. But assessing the property first, determining where the best location to put it, is probably the first step.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Anybody that's well-versed in installing those types of barrels? In other words, I think everybody sitting here is interested in the environment, and they're sitting there saying, I want one of them barrels on my property. I don't have the slightest idea on how to put it in.
Do I know anybody?
Well, in other words, if the
Yeah,
borough was
you're looking at
able to subsidize such a venture with X number of dollars before the budget gets closed out in 2 weeks, maybe we could allot you X number of dollars and see after 1 year that you did install 22 in this town, and you're saving 50,000 gallons worth of water.
If we were to do something like that, we would have to have education for every user first. We wouldn't want to give rain barrels out to people without going through, so folks have an understanding what they are, how to disconnect them if they need to, and so there's a progression. There's a reason why we want to do the education, but certainly, there are a variety of people that we can get to help with it. It's not rocket science putting in a rain barrel. It's just a matter of finding the place to put it. The one that we installed at Anita's house, we did it 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, my son actually moved it and built a platform for it, so that it's sitting
can
in
be a little higher.
framework with stone, and they will
Most
have,
cases, your overflow hose is going to be
Yeah.
the default, right?
So Yeah, so all those things, just like the rain garden, you would have to take a look. Where would the overflow hose go?
Yep.
Do I have a garden nearby? You don't want to put a rain barrel far away from where you want to use the water for. You want it to be as close as possible, and you want to make sure that it has some
Right.
pressure when the water comes out.
Mine
But
actually
certainly,
dumps into a garden.
If there's some financial support for it, I think we definitely can make something work.
And then
When are you
at
connecting
the
it?
end of the year, they come back and say, you know, that $4,000 was waste, we gotta do something else, start recycling leaves or something.
Down the drain, huh?
I think we can help look at grant money as well, Bob.
I'll bet you if word got out, we were doing free installations, and you pay for the barrel, we'd have a list of 100 people call in here in the next week or two.
Well, I know from Fun Fest, a lot of people didn't even know what a rain barrel was.
Right.
So that's why I think the education element is key, making sure that we do that first. So, or do them at the same time, concurrently. Whatever that we do, we're going to track them. Every single one will be located on Google Earth or GIS, so we know where they're at, and we'll keep an eye on them periodically. So these aren't things that we're just going to give away and then just wash our hands. These are things that are going to be monitored.
And I think it would snowball. If my neighbors see me getting one, they're gonna say, what's going on here? Oh,
How can I
my
get
name on the list.
I can see where education really is key.
Yes.
I was just thinking that.
Right.
Educational video.
On a really simple, small scale, my son is in Cub Scouts. So as a result of that, we now have a compost bin. It was all part of what they
Definitely.
learned, what they did, and he was able to kind of promote it. So while that's on, again, a small scale and just a young child, but that's why it's so important for all of us to understand. And that leads to a question I have. In our community garden, which of course is a large scale because of how much, the volume of water that we need, is there anything that we could do down there with this? Or is it, it would just be a drop in the barrel, so it wouldn't do
There's a
anything?
potential there. You just need a rooftop close by. So I don't, in my head, I can't, you just need a source for the water. And then you fill the barrel and you can use whatever's in the barrel.
What if it's just collecting rain? Why does it have to be,
You mean off the ground?
no, into a barrel?
Yeah. So you have to collect the rain off of, the easiest way is off of a rooftop. If you're collecting it off the ground, you talking about?
No, why, when it,
That means a barrel out in the
We
open.
got 2 inches of rain, which is a lot. You have 2 inches of rain in the barrel.
You want a barrel
I just
open.
don't know
All right.
what's surrounding the community garden. Do they have, that's, I'm not picturing it in my head right now.
no,
Right.
There's no water, we put the water line down.
Yeah.
all right.
There is a salt shed down there that has a roof,
Yeah, but how much comes?
but we could look at it.
That's not on the property.
No, but it is our property where the salt shed is. So we could
Okay.
take a look at it.
Okay, that's
So
great.
we can
That's
definitely go
exciting.
and take a look at it.
Salt
So
shed
that's
down there next to the
An
community garden.
opportunity
Yeah,
for us to
right
look
on
into.
it, yeah.
So one suggestion I would have is possibly you set up a workshop that people must attend if they want to be a participant and then get a rain barrel. So this
And
way,
that's-
the education comes first,
Right.
then they receive the rain barrel.
Right. And I was trying to get at that, but I try not to use the word must.
Oh, mandatory.
Mandatory.
Recommend,
Well,
highly
But
they're
yeah,
requirements.
Pretty much a requirement.
Yeah, that's
Right.
encouraged.
Yes, yes.
Right,
Yes.
that's right. If it's going to be
Definitely.
free, there's a requirement.
We are working with other EACs that are steps ahead of us,
Yes.
and the way they do it is they have a workshop first.
Right. That makes sense.
And exactly, so we would
Right.
model and all of that.
Right. Oh, great.
And the other thing that they do is they partner with the schools so that if somebody wants a rain barrel like you see in the picture here, and they want it painted purple, and they wanted flowers painted on it, they can order it that way, or they can, so there's this whole artistic element to it as well, which really gets kids involved, and
Right.
so there are a variety of layers.
Good.
Which I think would be like that compost storage bin
But
example.
you never told us what the cost of, what's the cost of the barrel?
The cost of a barrel?
He did tell us
Range.
How much?
20 to 120.
55 to 100, he said.
Depending
How
on what
much?
you get, they go from
$20 to
Oh,
$100.
$20 to $100.
Right. Depending how fancy.
He wasn't necessarily asking for the rain barrels yet as much as the support for the classes.
Right.
and then they need to be connected. So there's hardware and stuff to connect them, and that costs about $20, $25
So
for the
that's a
collector.
big spread there, 20 to 100. Is it 99 or is it?
If you want a fancy one,
Depends,
it's
if you want a Yugo or you want a Cadillac, that's kind of
Right.
like,
Great.
All right.
Dominic and Matt would like to thank you for your
Yes, thank you very
presentation,
much.
and thank
Thank
you
you.
as well for all your work this
Very-
past year.
Very interesting, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Moving into council business, Ms. Stetler, please come to the podium. We have 2 zoning hearing board applications. The first being considering 151 East 9th Avenue. You can just give a brief summary.
151 East 9th Avenue is a single-family, semi-detached dwelling. It's located in the BR1 zoning district. A variance is being requested for built area. The proposed activity is an addition to the property to accommodate a first-floor bedroom and bathroom. The addition will increase the built area on the property from 33.5% to 43.2%. The maximum built area permitted in BR1 is 35%. Ms. Hansberry is here. I believe that the addition is to accommodate a family member. If you have any questions, she's here. She can answer whatever you would like.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I don't have any questions.
No, I don't have any. Any questions?
And the second hearing is for 1065 Cowell Lane. This is a unique property in the borough. It predates all zoning. It's now located in the BR1 district. It's a mixed-use commercial residential property. So every time one of the commercial properties changes the business, or not necessarily changes tenant, but when they change the type of business, a special exception for a change of nonconforming use is required. The property in question is a 600 square foot retail space, which was previously used for medical supply, retail, and distribution. And the proposal is to use the property for skincare, healthy skincare activities by a licensed esthetician. A special exception for change in nonconforming use requested, a variance for the size of the sign, which is, they're asking for an 8 square foot sign. And then they asked for a variance for off-street parking, although the property has parking to the rear, there's parking available on Cowell Lane in front of these businesses. But there is caution that, to be sure that they have enough, and they really don't, the parking requirements for this are really not that much, it's less than for the retail. So Ms. Farrell is here with the occupant, the person who's going to be occupying the space, and the owner of the property. So if you have any questions for Ms. Farrell.
How many employees are you going to have?
It's one esthetician and then a receptionist who would take care of intake and payment, scheduling, that sort of thing.
And that's in my district. I'm very familiar with the area and the medical. Never had any problems. I don't think there's any residents here against it. So I don't have a problem with it.
What's the turnover of clientele in this business?
So the scheduling varies depending on the service. It's facials, brows, tanning, those types of things. So they tend to be from 30 minutes to an hour. So it depends on if it's, there might be 2 clients in an hour, if it's 2 brow services. If it's somebody getting a facial, that's 1 client during that hour. There's only the one esthetician, so she'll be the only one dealing with clients. At most, you may have another client sitting, for a 10-minute overlap while somebody's wrapping up before the next person goes in.
Is it a brand new business, or is it being relocated from somewhere else?
Relocating from East Norriton, although about 65% of her clientele is currently Conshohocken or Plymouth-based in terms of either living and or working in one of those two. She's anticipating that client base will obviously move with her, and then she thinks a lot of the additional clientele will end up being local as well.
So right from the start, she'll have a book of business?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion.
We would just need if you're so inclined, to make a motion to write a letter of support for both applicants.
I'll make that
Zoning Hearing Board.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
I second it.
I got a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Good luck.
Right. And I would like to see for the 151 9th Avenue, I think that's a trend that we're going to have to start paying attention to in Conshohocken as our parents age at home. I think it's something that we have to be flexible on going forward. So thank you for bringing that up today. We did. We for both. We made the motion for both. So it's approved.
Okay.
Did we approve one?
We approved both.
You
of
did,
them.
you made a motion to send a letter of support to the Zoning Hearing Board for both
Both of them.
151 East 9th and 1065 Caldwell Lane.
Okay.
Yep.
We good to move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
The next item on your agenda is for discussion. It is a review of your proposed 2018 Borough Council calendar that will be advertised for January and for the duration of the 2018 fiscal year. It follows the same pattern, first Wednesday and third Wednesday of every month. It also encompasses your special workshops for capital and goal setting and your special budget workshop, following the same schedule as you did this year. The only thing I would draw your attention to is July 4th is the first Wednesday meeting at 7 p.m., and that's a holiday. So that is something that we'll have to take into account regarding if you want to change it to a different day. So if you can review the dates proposed, there is an asterisk and a note next to the dates in question, and in 2 weeks you will vote to approve the schedule so we can do one advertisement and save the borough money.
Now, years before, we used to take a week off, a meeting off. Maybe that's a good time in that July 4th meeting,
Mhm.
to not have that meeting in that month.
It's definitely an option.
Like a summer vacation
Yep.
we had. So maybe it would
Possibly the same thing with the November 21st.
It's a Wednesday before
be,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So November 21st is Thanksgiving Eve,
Right.
So,
with the way
I
it
would
falls on the calendar.
so I would suggest that we don't have meetings on either of those 2 days.
Are you saying reschedule them for a
Are they-
different
are
day,
they
Karen, or?
Well, I would say for the July 4th.
It's a workshop.
And for the other one, maybe to see
Voting.
what kind of business need there may
Right,
be.
right.
Because
Just wait and see. We
it's,
can't do it that Wednesday.
no, absolutely
Right.
not. So I think
Right.
it comes down to a
Postpone it a
question of
week.
whether it's necessary to even reschedule
She
it.
don't cook.
And let's just do it based on the need.
So what I can do is, if you, per your direction, would like to just cancel the July 4th work session, call that your summer week off, we'll leave November 21st on the schedule for right now, and as we get closer to the date, determine what the workload is, and we can send out a special advertisement to either council or change,
Okay.
reschedule to a different date.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Right.
That's
Okay.
good.
Because that's a voting meeting.
Do you want to make that motion then now, or do you want to wait for 2 weeks to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
No, I'll second it.
I got a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is consideration for board and commission vacancies. So again, this is just a topic of conversation at this point. Moving into January and preparing for reorganization, you have specific individuals who are up for reappointment on your current boards and commissions. The list was provided to you for evaluation. You also have some current vacancies. You have one vacancy in the EAC, and then Rosemary's resignation would have 2 vacancies in the EAC, 3 vacancies in the Board of Code Appeals, and 1 vacancy in Planning Commission. So those are your current vacancies, and then you have your reappointments. So my request of you is to review the current individuals that are up for reappointment, those who have expressed interest in potential reappointment or reconsideration, and let me know what you are interested in, what direction you'd like to go with each of the boards and commissions on this list, and we can be prepared for the reorganization on January 2nd. Are there any questions on that? Okay.
So if there is a name on here and it does not say reappoint, they are in the middle of their term. So for instance, under Marywood Park,
Yes.
Julie Dixon is currently in a term.
She is in a term. She is up for reappointment. She has not responded to our request to determine if she wants to be reappointed. So right now, she's on the list as needing to be reappointed, should she wish to continue.
Okay.
We've reached out to every individual on this list to gauge their interest. If it says reappoint next to it, they have expressed interest in being reappointed. If it does not, we've reached out, haven't received a response. We'll continue to reach out to get you an answer.
Okay.
Again,
Thank you.
when we reappointed somebody, we'd want them to come in and have
And
a
be-
short interview with
Yep.
us to go over what they accomplished in the time that they were on that committee.
Right.
So I think that's, myself, I think it's a good thing to bring them in.
Okay.
But that's up to council. I'm just bringing up a suggestion.
I think that's consistent with what we've been doing.
Okay.
That gives us the opportunity to have FaceTime with
Right,
folks.
right.
Yeah.
So given that, I would just need to know, I'm looking for a list of the individuals that are up for reappointment that you're interested in reappointing. Once I have that list, then they'll be scheduled for an interview.
Okay.
Okay? And we will continue to advertise the vacancies, the current vacancies that we have. Right? Thank you very much. The next item is a revision. So the YMCA sign was in front of you in October. A decision was made. That decision went back to the YMCA and they requested a revision. The revision based on the fact that they wanted the lettering association office listed next to their logo. The sign would have the stipulations that you set before, which was no illumination, that the sign needs to be pin mounted to the wall, and that the lettering is the same color and material as the rest of the lettering of the building. I received confirmation from Keystone today that the YMCA CEO has signed off on the sign that's in front of you. So this will be the last time it's in front of you, and then we will put together a schedule of actually getting it up and getting it completed. So I would just need a motion to approve the revised YMCA sign presented to you this evening.
I'll make
Based-
that motion.
Got a motion, do I need a second?
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Last item under council business is to authorize the advertisement of the 2018 real estate tax levy ordinance. Again, the real estate tax, there is no change to the real estate tax for 2018. There is also no change to the levy distribution. So the ordinance is a matter of a housekeeping item. It needs to be advertised at least 7 days prior to your adoption. It will be on your agenda for the 20th. And it's in your binder materials tonight just for your review and consideration. So we're prepared for the motion on the 20th. But it will be advertised. So what I do need is a motion to authorize the tax levy ordinance as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Moving on to manager matters. The first item is considering approving a fee waiver request for the Archbishop Kennedy High School reunion, and Brian Cole is actually here to present this item and to request the fee waiver. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Congratulations, Steph, on the full-time job.
Thanks.
Archbishop Kennedy closed in 1993. It was located right on the outskirts of Conshohocken. It's the 25th year anniversary of the school closing. A time capsule was buried in the final year of the high school. Donna Moore, the undertaker, is going to dig it up. We are going to have an all-house open house, if you will, all-class open house at the school. It's the current home of the Antioch Church. They've agreed to have us through. This is the third such reunion I've run in the past 10 years. All have went extremely well. And then the one other tie that's still here for the students is the A field. We would like to have kind of like a big party at the A field. The youngest person attending this would most likely be 42 years old. I'm 43 and one of the last classes. So it's not a second coming of the Conshohocken Beer Garden. You know, it's more of a gathering of, you know, adults. We're going to have a few tents set up just in case it does rain. The backup would probably be the Conshohocken Great American Pub if the A field didn't go through. And of course, all classes are invited to attend. It should be a pretty unique experience, seeing the items from the time capsule, seeing old classmates, and so on. So we'd appreciate it. Any questions?
Any idea how many people?
The last two all-class reunions or open houses that I've had have somewhere between 250 and 350 people. At the school, with it being the open house aspect, people kind of come and go as they please. So the timing, for instance, may be, you know, from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock at the old school, where, you know, I could walk through with my children, show them the lockers that I used, and then, if I'm so inclined, meet at the A field. And I think that time might be, you know, 5 till 10 in the evening, so that there could be some people kind of coming right from the school to the A field to catch up. We don't want to make it too early because we're looking at May, where we don't want it to be too hot of a day. You're right at that same time of year where the Relay for Life is, and I've attended some of those, and they're hot days or rainy days. So we're looking to kind of keep it somewhat in the afternoon so that it's not scorching hot, you know, on these people.
Mm-hmm.
What's the date, Brad?
May 19th, off the top of my head.
Yep.
The relay's not happening this year.
So if you're inclined, you'd have to make a motion to approve the waiver of the fee for the A field, and you'd also have to approve the use of alcohol at the A field for the event.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Great,
Motion
thank you so
carried.
much. While I have the microphone, Mayor Frost, thank you so much for your years of service. It's been a pleasure. I think Conshohocken was very lucky to have you for so long. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next item on the agenda is we received a fee waiver request from the American Red Cross to utilize the community center for a community blood drive on February 18th, 2018. Again, any waivers of fees and requests come through the Office of the Borough Manager and to Council. You have waived this fee in the past.
I'll make that motion. I'll
Got a
second.
motion? Second? Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next item on the agenda deals with considering authorizing the disposal of records per the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual. Over the course of the last 7 months, administration has been active, largely coordinated by the efforts of Tiffany Griffin. So a huge thank you to all of the work that she's done to really kick off this project. And every single administrator has assisted with actually following through with what needs to get done. So just a brief overview, we consolidated records from 4 different locations into 1 location. Those records were then organized into different categories per the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual. Each department then took time out of their schedule to review, and I will stress this is an ongoing process, but we're really pretty proud of what has been accomplished in the last 7 months. In front of you is a resolution to approve, to authorize the disposal of those records that are permissible per the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual. Again, these go back to files that are 30 years old, that are redundant, that are copies, It was a matter of just utilizing the manpower to actually look at each piece of paper and then cross-examine what we were permitted to dispose of in the municipal records manual. And this is a first step, and this will be an ongoing process. But this is leading to an overall retention plan, records retention plan for the borough.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I got a motion and a second. I got to excuse myself from this because my daughter does the work there. So I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next item is consider authorizing the donation of the fire truck to the Fire Academy. There is a 1999 Ferrero fire engine that is sitting idle, that is no longer utilized by the borough. In the fleet, it has been recycled. We reached out to Jesse Stemple. Bob, thank you for that coordination. And the Montgomery County Fire Academy and the county has agreed to 5 years of free training in exchange for the fire engine itself. It's an opportunity that we'd like to take advantage of. We have a letter on file from Montgomery County Department of Public Safety, and the vehicle will be transferred over to the county, which we are permitted to do from municipality to municipality. But I would need your authorization to process this donation in exchange for free training.
Like, just like to say that the training is worth probably 5 times what the apparatus is worth, and I'll make that motion.
I got a motion,
I'll
second?
second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anyone opposed?
All opposed?
Any opposed? Oh,
You need to say that.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Steph was just waiting for it, that's all.
Okay, so motion carries.
Carry on.
Thank you. Next item is considering the authorization for the tuition reimbursement for Detective Walker. The item was in your meeting materials. There are classes that amount to $3,928. The reimbursement is for tuition and books. This is a contractual item. To date, the police department has expended $13,062.64. There are funds available for this allocation. If you are inclined, we just need an approval. Yes.
How much was it?
To date, we have
How much is his tuition reimbursement?
$3,928.
One course?
No, it is multiple
Two.
courses. It's 2.
That's in the contract, right?
It's a contractual item, yes. 2 classes.
I would make that motion.
I got a motion and a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
It's all in the contract, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to department matters, we have consideration for approving Resolution 2017-26, approving the CDBG application. Again, a housekeeping item. This needs to take place. It will enable us to administer the CDBG grant entitlement program.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Peters.
Thank you. You have before you consideration of a set of bylaws that my office provided. One of our corporate attorneys took the first crack at putting together a list of bylaws for Friends of Conshohocken Parks, Inc. Tonight, what we're looking for is simply any feedback you may have. You will have consideration of a final version of this at your next meeting. If you don't have specific feedback for me tonight, you know how to contact me. You can always simply contact me and we can make any changes that are necessary. I'll tell you that the person that wrote this is much better at this than I am. So there's nothing in here that I find jumps out at me whatsoever. Do you have any specific questions at the moment?
I do. It says the Conshohocken Parks shall include, but not necessarily be limited to. So the one question, it has Hain Salvati on here. And I don't know that I see what we're calling, I guess, the Riverside Dog Park.
Oh,
Riverton Park?
Riverton Park.
Riverton Park.
Is that what you're?
Is that what
I
it's-
thought that's a rowing center.
No, the rowing center's
center's
separate.
different.
yeah,
So-
Riverton Park and Rowing Center, yeah.
Why would the rowing center be included when that's a public-private entity?
Yeah, why would that?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
I-
that's something for us
It's
to
up,
consider.
this is the
yeah.
point of the
Because it's
conversation.
not
Yeah.
really one of our parks.
So we're calling it the Riverton?
Yeah, that's the.
Is that the dog park?
That's a dog park?
Is that what it's called?
I thought it was
There's a,
Riverside.
well, there's a official legal determination, which is why it's listed the way it is. If you would prefer that it is the Riverside Dog Park, that we can you can make any changes you want to this at this point.
Okay.
Where did that name come from?
Who knows?
The committee?
No, not from the committee. This is specifically drafted through our legal attorney.
You call it the Riverside?
Riverside's good.
The Riverside
I know, but
Dog Park.
why is he making the name?
He's not making the name.
Oh.
The document is being presented to you.
Oh,
Should
oh,
you want to
that's-
make any
okay.
changes,
So we
you
can
can
make
make
our
the changes.
Yeah, no,
I
we
was
have to
saying,
read it, make our
why is
changes.
he, okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It won't,
So with that being said, it sounds as if you'd like to eliminate the rowing center.
Correct.
And
And-
change the name
yeah.
of Riverton to
Right.
Riverside?
Riverside Dog Park.
Riverside Dog, very good, I like it.
And then I guess Haynes Salati Dog Park. Because it just says park at the moment.
Why do we want the dog parks in that?
Because they're part of our parks package.
Yeah, yes, they are.
so then
So it
if
is gonna
they,
be the Riverside.
No, that's entirely different.
right, so if they raise money for the dog park, it'll stay in the dog parks fund, but now it'll be tax deductible if you made a donation.
Correct.
Before we did.
Right, so
Oh,
that-
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So,
People know.
right.
Let other people know, or be aware of that.
Right. so
Right,
any of the-
so
right.
what would happen is then if their committee for the dog park, individually or together, raise money, that money would then be a tax deduction because we will be part of the 503.
And there, we can allocate.
Right,
then
to each
the
park,
different
to
parks.
each park.
That's
So,
exactly right.
So,
So that's-
right, so that would be a benefit to all the
So how many
parks.
dog parks do we have now?
Two, right?
Two.
two.
What happened to the?
Bob, this is for all the parks.
Yeah.
So Bob, if somebody's
Is this
raising
just
money
for dog-
for the dog park, then it just gets allocated and
For the
it's
dog
through
park,
this
for the
vehicle.
dog park.
Right,
But, right, but all of the other, your, Sutcliffe is also in here, so if there's money raised for anything there, then it's.
Not a dog park.
No.
Oh my God, Bob, there's two
No.
dog parks.
No, there's three.
No, one is
No, there's
dog
only
friendly.
two.
About the one on Sutcliffe Lane.
Anything
enough piece
anything
of
else, we'll
What
make
about the
those
one
two
on Sutcliffe
changes.
We need to add Sutcliffe Lane Park as well.
Which
Very
one on
good.
Sutcliffe
Oh,
Lane?
yeah, there's
the
Sutcliffe.
little park on Sutcliffe Lane.
There's none on Sutcliffe Lane,
Yeah, there is now.
not designated one.
Very good. Any changes beyond page one? All right, we will make those specific changes. Again, do not hesitate to contact me should there be anything
And we
additional.
have 2 weeks to discuss
Right, we have
that.
2 weeks to be in
Right.
touch with you.
Yeah.
Please do.
Okay.
Can I have one question?
Of course.
On these dog parks? Are we doing a trial on these? I'm sorry, are we doing a trial on these, or are these just dog parks that, are we having a 1-year trial on them, or we just?
No, so there are two dog parks, one that we're now calling Riverside, which has been, it has been there, it's been established for a while. In fact, we're just adding new lighting. We're going to have, so Haynes and Salvati is a dog park, not on a trial. That's what it is moving forward. What we have is the dog park committee is going to come and do a presentation here for Borough Council in January at our voting session to do a presentation of the plan of what they intend to do. So you'll have more information at that point, but essentially they're just saying, here's the plan, this is what we'd like to do, our vision for moving forward, and then discuss where some of the money will be used and et
And the
cetera.
basketball court?
You can make that suggestion when they come with their presentation.
Well, at this point, there is not any intention to remove the basketball court.
Thank you.
However, Bob, it may be, part of what we're looking at now is the cost associated with digging that up. When would we do some things with, once a fence is put up and, several other items, and that'll be what's presented.
Okay, you know where my concern is, right?
that kids, right,
Where do
but,
children go when the people bring their dogs and their children to that park?
but it's not recommended for this to be for children and dogs. It would be a dog park.
Without children? So you're
no
not allowed to
child-
bring your child into the park?
We didn't want you bringing.
I think we have not set what age it would be. Maybe like children 12 and under, not permitted in there. I think it puts us in a position of some kind of liability, and you know what your own dog is capable of, but you don't know what may happen. So.
I'm not knocking, I'm just looking at some of the, the liabilities of, people are gonna do what they want. How are you gonna regulate that? Are you gonna have,
Well,
are you gonna have the
there's-
police there and say, if you have your 5-year-old son with your dog there, you have to leave the park?
Well, there's going to be, first there's going to be either a fob or some kind of a way that there's security, that you're just not getting in there. And then you have a membership, you'll be right, there's bylaws associated, it will be all as.
So you just have this all laid out?
So it's just gonna be like the other dog park that's along the river.
Yeah, so the presentation will answer a lot of these questions, and I think as far as the basketball court, I mean, that's still something that's up for discussion, but it does take a significant piece of that property away.
And all the neighbors were,
And if it were to stay there, Bob, it wouldn't be utilized that way. It would just simply be that we didn't have the money to remove it.
but is all the neighbors notified about that? All the neighbors were notified that we're putting a dog park there?
I don't think that we sent any notification. I did my own when I went kind of trying to get a feel.
I think you better.
Well, there is intention for us to certainly do communication and also some signage and directing to the other parks, and that in lieu of having the equipment at Haynes Silvati, it's up at the Meadows. Oh, should the Meadows also be on there? Was it on there?
Don't get me wrong, I'm not a dog hater or nothing, I like pets and all, but I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. And because I already had neighbors approach me on certain places we put dog parks, that they were never notified. And this is not our decision. The people, taxpayers own this town, and it is their homes, and it is their parks, and if we're going to do something like that, they should be notified by a written letter, like we do everything else, that we are changing a park to a dog park.
I'm certain.
It's a drastic move.
Well, we did not remove a children's playground. We just moved it to, we didn't remove it.
You relocated it.
We
right.
relocated it, and it has brand-new equipment, and it's in a better, safer area than where Haynes Silvati is. So I think it's a win-win for both parties.
So you're
and-
talking about the trucks and the traffic and.
Accessing in and out for
Right,
kids
and in
is not good
fact,
there.
we may have an opportunity to add a couple of additional parking spots. We're still, it's in the early stage. There's a lot of discussions, and there will be, in the next few weeks, the intention is for the committee to put together answers and responses and outline what the strategy is and how we're going to move forward over the next couple of years. But if there are some parking spots that we're able to add there, maybe it will help relieve some of the pressure, because people that want to use the path can't park or should not be parking in the Grand. So maybe this would allow for a couple of spaces there.
That's all fine, but I'm just saying, the people that approach me have been residents there all their lives. They have grandchildren now. They live on West Elm Street, and they're concerned about, if they were notified that the park was going to be a dog park, and we relocated the park to down the street to the Second Street Meadow
Right.
Park, we should do that all up front, not after we decide we're going to put the dog park there and change everything around. We should let the people know up front. That's all they want to know. And really, they really don't have a problem with it being a dog park.
Right.
And if they know that the park, there's another park, the Second Street Meadows, then that would make them even happier. But I think we need to let the residents know up front before we do something.
Agree with that, and I know that.
Like we do what Chris does, and she goes
Right, with
around, hangs
zoning.
all the letters up. and,
Right.
You know,
And-
and put it on the website. And
I know we're putting signage there to direct or redirect to the meadows, and I'm sure, and I just don't know the timeline, or is there anything, Stephanie, that you know that you can add in terms of any notification that?
Well,
social
when
media, put it out on a curb.
we can definitely do that. When we switched from,
Well, everybody reads
Okay,
it.
we have
Okay,
borough borough-sponsored
Right,
communications.
Maybe to let Steph finish her statement.
Yeah.
so when we transitioned the playground equipment from Haynes and Savati to Second Avenue Meadows, there was notification that was put up on the borough website and our social media outlets. And then when we were removed the Haynes and Savati equipment to prep for the dog park, when concerns on in terms of safety with the current equipment that was Haynes and Savati, there was a posting that was published on the website a duration of time prior to it actually happening, so that there was notification. If you'd like written notification to go out, we can definitely do that moving forward. And the dog park committee will be here on January 17th to present their future plans for what they would like to do, what they're proposing. Again, the boards and the commissions, they serve at the pleasure of Borough Council. So if there's initiatives and projects and ideas that they'd like to start and initiate in the Borough of Conshohocken, they are directed to gather their ideas and bring them to council for discussion and any requests that they may have. So that is scheduled to happen on January 17th, prior to any decisions being made.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, the bylaws will be in front of you on December 20th for a final decision. If there are any revisions, please let us know, and we'll make them in preparation for that meeting. And then the last item on the agenda is just considering appointing board members to the Friends of Conshohocken Parks.
Right.
So in the bylaws, there is a board of 3 to 9 members. So tonight, the agenda item is on for discussion. There will be no decision made this evening, but the idea is if you have names or recommendations of individuals you'd like to appoint, it would be ideal if we could appoint them on December 20th, again in preparation for 2018.
So you got,
That's all I have, Mr. President.
council members, done anything, Mayor?
Yeah, just one quick thank you to the Conshohocken Police, Fire Department, and the Special Fire Police. For the 28th year, they successfully transported Santa from the firehouse to Borough Hall, up the ladder to the 3rd floor, and out the front door to greet about 400 kids that were waiting. So we want to say thanks to those guys, and a special thank you to the Conshohocken Ambucks. Like I said, this is the 28th year they've done this. They started back in 1990, and this was more or less our closeout Santa delivery at the old Borough Hall. And next year, supposedly, we're moving to the Park House.
Hopefully, that's the goal.
So that'll be our goal for next year, and how we're going to get a fire engine to reach from 5th Avenue to the Park House. We're working on it. Thanks, guys.
Colleen?
The only thing I really have is congratulations, Stephanie. And I am sure I can speak for everyone when we say that we are all looking forward to working with you and have, for the last 7 months,
7 months.
been thrilled and amazed at what you have done. So thank you.
As long as you don't cry.
I had a couple neighbors text me on West 10th Avenue about the great jobs that our Public Works Department's doing collecting the leaves. So I just wanted to pass that on, that when somebody compliments, I want to pass it on to the Public Works Department. Thank you.
Jane?
No, I don't have anything at this time.
I do not either. I don't either.
Yep, nothing from my word.
I don't have anything, so we'll,
Public comment.
I have one question concerning the donation of the fire truck. Does it say when the free training starts? Would it be next year, or? Because we're at the end of 2017, so.
How often do they do training seminars?
Well, it depends upon the classes that are scheduled and who wants what class. But we're at the end of 2017, so it would be nice if we picked up and then we got the full year out of starting next year.
It's a full year starting 2018.
Okay,
So you're 2018 to 2022.
okay. That's perfect. Thank you.
And thank you for your help in coordinating that as well. Appreciate the assistance.
You're welcome.
Any more public comment? Going once, going twice? Meeting adjourned.